This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. If you haven't heard, Donald Trump met with the South African president in regards to these stories about how Donald Trump is bringing in white South Africans into America. And of course, this is all about the race war, but I don't want to go into more detail about that. What I want to do is take this as a learning opportunity for you to share this video with other people, because the headlines that are out there all say the same thing: how the White House orchestrated Trump's Oval Office ambush of the South African president. And if we can get people to start looking at the news for what it really is, which is a scripted repetition that is fed to these news anchors, all given the same talking points, the same exact scripts, whether it's Fox News or it's ABC News, they're fed a left and right script. All the liberal media gets the same script. Nobody goes, how come they're all using the same talking points, but this person's on CNN, that person's on CBS, that person is on MSNBC, and it's all happening in the same exact day? Because the news is a scripted.
This brilliant device keeps your home cool in summer, even during heat waves and power outages. It's smaller than a lunchbox, cools
Form of
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful leg out there pushing this word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashim Shai, pushing it up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful leg, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today, dealing with the father of lies, dealing with Esau Edom. Okay, and I played a clip just then. All right, and we're gonna play some more of it. All right, as a matter of fact, we'll rewind it from the beginning, play some more of this clip. But so the thing in this clip, it shows you that this devil uses his media, through repetition, all right, to make a lie become the truth. He has mastered, okay, how to make a lie, okay, accepted as truth. It's one thing that the devil has mastered, within his kingdom. All right. And I want to start off here. I want to get to the book of St. John, chapter 8. All right. And we'll read down from there. So when you go here to the book of St. John, chapter 8. All right. And 44. Now this is Yahweh Shai, speaking to the wicked leadership of Israel. Now we know that there was wicked leadership amongst our people at this time. All right, they were sellouts to the Romans, all right, which were Edomites. All right, so he begins to describe, Jake, as being like an Edomite, the way that they was moving, the way that they was ruling over Israel, the way they was being hypocritical, okay, liars, So when you go to St. John 8 and 44, it says, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Okay, now this goes all the way back, to the garden. All right, and if you can receive it in the spirit, all right, the spirit that was in, all right, the serpent, which the serpent just described, a lineage of men. Okay, the son of the wicked. All right, and he was described as a serpent because of his craftiness, sneakiness, slyness. Okay, and he was known for what? Being a liar. He told Eve, "Thou shalt not surely die." That was a lie. Okay, the murderer Cain. That same spirit came back, as a murderer. All right, within Cain. Okay, and then it came back as Esau, which Esau was the lying murderer, man, to this day. Okay, so Yahweh Shai was comparing Jake, to their wicked all right, to the seed of the wicked, man, which at this time they was ruling in the Roman Empire, man. Okay, so you go here, all right, and you get this word father. Okay, you get this word father in the Greek. All right, which in Greek is patar. All right, patar. Now, metaphorically, it says what? The originator and transmitter of anything. The originator and transmitter of anything. Okay, so this devil was the originator of lies and murder. Okay, this is the legacy of Esau Edom. Okay, within his existence, he's always been a liar and a murderer, man. All right, that's why he's known as the seed of the wicked. Okay, and today with this technology, he just has become highly advanced. Okay, and lying, all right, and murder, man. Okay, so let's go back to the video, and then we'll get a few more. All right, pre-sale. I want to get this video real quick. Play the first few minutes of it and just show you, how these devils, just create narratives, all right, and make these things true. He repeats it so much. He comes at, so he comes at the same thing with so many different angles, okay, that people's mind, all right, become, compromised to a lie and to accept it as true, okay? He's more crafty than any beast of the field, man. Now let's play this. All right. And
channel, welcome to today's show. If you haven't heard, Donald Trump met with the South African president in regards to these stories about how Donald Trump is bringing in white South Africans into America. And of course, this is all about the race war, but I don't want to go into more detail about that. What I want to do is take this as a learning opportunity for you to share this video with other people, because the headlines that are out there all say the same thing: how the White House orchestrated Trump's Oval Office ambush of the South African president. And if we can get people to start looking at the news for what it really is, which is a scripted repetition that is fed to these news anchors, all given the same talking points, the same exact scripts, whether it's Fox News or it's ABC News, they're fed a left and right script. All the liberal media gets the same script. Nobody goes, how come they're all using the same talking points, but this person's on CNN, that person's on CBS, that person is on MSNBC, and it's all happening in the same exact day? Because the news is a scripted form of mind control. You've probably heard people use the term scripted reality and never understood what it means. Unless you're a longtime subscriber of the work that I've put out there, then you obviously know what it means. A scripted reality is blurring your lines of what's real and what's not. The news is scripted. These events that are happening are scripted events. And what this does is this keeps people in thinking of terms of the left and the right, their hatred for Donald Trump versus their hatred for Barack Obama or Joe Biden, their hatred for the opposite political party, instead of looking at the news as to what its real purpose is. Its real purpose is to use basic mind control on the masses through repetition. And you tell me how all these different news stations all get the same exact script that uses the same exact words, and we've seen this over and over and over again, because they don't expect you to catch it. And if you do catch it, they want you to just call legacy media scripted instead of saying all of it is scripted. And the purpose of it being scripted is to blur your lines of what reality really is and get you all ignited in a fury about what these politicians are doing, whether they're on your team or they're not on your team, in the perspective of Republican and Democrat. But the reality is,
I want to go into the definition that he mentioned, which is scripted reality. I just looked it up. All right, so you go here to scripted reality. All right, and it's I'll get here. It says key characteristics of scripted reality. It says the storyline plot points are often, and it says, and often even dialogue are prearranged by the production company. It says emphasis in on drama, stereotypes, and subjugated elements, often at the expense of realistic or socially relevant topics, man. Okay? So what we see, is news, a lot of times is, these crises and certain events are all pre-planned and structured. All right. They all have a pre-planned storyline and plot. Okay. Even dialogue. Okay. And it's emphasized on certain drama, stereotypes. Okay. You see? And you read in, it says fictionalized elements. Scripted reality shows may incorporate elements that are not entirely real, such as stage situation or predetermined outcomes. Okay, they do this with sports. They do this with all type of things, man. But mainly when they push their agenda and their propaganda, man, the election. These things are all scripted. Okay, the presidential elections, certain elections, they're all scripted. You see, these certain news and I say these events. Okay, these devils already have the whole thing planned out, and they give everybody a script to play a role. Biden was meant to play, this incompetent, halfway here, halfway gone president. Okay, so Trump can come and play this, macho man. Okay, masculine, conservative. Okay, to get the the love of the people. Okay, all these things are scripted. Kamala, the dumbass laugh, all this scripted, man. Okay, they create villains and heroes, and they're so good with it that they can make the villain the hero. As you seen with Trump, he was a villain last 4 terms. Now he's the hero. Okay, and it's a lot of psyops around this guy Trump, man. They're spinning off a lot of psyops, off this guy Trump. Okay, and it's all for influence. Okay, to submit to a particular agenda, to a particular will. It says a potential risk of scripted reality is that it can influence viewers' perceptions, behaviors, and attitude by presenting unrealistic scenarios and characters. Okay, and they do this intentionally. Okay, people are so bought into all these different narratives, and it's all scripted, but people are emotionally engaged into these things. Okay, they control their belief system, they control their reasoning, they control their decision making. Okay, all off a script. Okay, so let's go back to. I just want to look that up real quick. Let's go here. All right, back to the video.
None of them are on your team. They're manipulating you by putting stories like this out there using the same terminology. And of course, the moral of the story with Donald Trump and the South African president, the moral of that entire story, like I covered in a previous video, is Donald Trump bringing in white South Africans, but deporting all of these people in America who have families, who have children, who have been here their entire lives, and they're getting thrown out, sent to Honduras prisons, right? And all that does is ignite this race war, what they want to keep you trapped in. If you haven't seen this clip aired, okay? And keep in mind, every one of these news stations, because most people don't go, hey, these people are journalists, we're told, right? So you would think in your mind that a journalist has a pen and paper in front of them, or a laptop or an iPad, whatever, and they're taking down their notes before they go on the air, right? But they're all using the same exact terminology, which tells you what? It tells you that some man behind the curtain feeds these scripts to these people.
Does the IRS actually do tax forgiveness?
There is a program of tax forgiveness, but it's so important for people to understand what that really means, because it can be overused as a way to.
And they pretend to be journalists and reporters, and their job is to suck you into the political hypnosis that they've created, because as long as they can keep the people divided, they can continue to strip us of our rights and work us and divide us so that eventually they could gain more control over us. If you haven't seen this ambush clip, this is what aired all in one day across of what they call legacy media.
To the dramatic scene in the Oval Office today, the tense confrontation, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
Up next, another Oval Office meltdown. President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
President Trump is being accused of conducting something of a diplomatic ambush of South Africa's president in the Oval Office.
To be with you, I'm Katie Tur. President Trump orchestrated another Oval Office ambush today.
Today, Donald Trump meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate that leader.
To Zelensky territory, where essentially he was a bit ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Felt like an ambush in there, kind of like the President Zelensky meeting in the Oval Office.
This was an ambush. It was orchestrated.
Cyril Ramaphosa brought his best diplomatic self to this meeting, but nothing could have prepared him for this multimedia ambush.
Started as, to some degree, an ambush.
Well, Katie, I mean, it was an ambush.
Ambushed.
An ambush.
Ambushing.
Ambush and ambush.
So if you haven't heard, it was an ambush. All right. The only people being ambushed are the American people who are falling for this, who are going to go out and repeat the same talking points, because that's the point. They hear ambush, ambush, ambush. Then they talk to their friend who's into politics. They go and get a beer at happy hour. They're standing at work, probably wearing their COVID mask still. And they say, did you see how he ambushed him? He wouldn't have done that if he wasn't a black man from South Africa. He wouldn't have done that to Putin or somebody else, right? Because they get sucked into this. I'm sure you all recall the Sinclair Broadcasting Group and the threat to our democracy, right? Because that's become a common theme, threat to our democracy. They've convinced people that MAGA conservative people are a threat to democracy. But the reality is that Donald Trump and the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, whoever it's led by at the current time, whether it was Biden or Obama, they're all the threat to democracy. But they want you to think that your neighbors, your friend who lives a few houses down, who has a Trump flag in his lawn, is a threat to democracy.
And what I want to get real quick, all right, because you see, he uses a repetition. He does the same thing with music. That's why the radio station plays a few songs over and over again. All right. The artists that they want to push, you see them everywhere, all on commercials, all on the award shows and the movie and this, they at the game, how they had, what's the little chick name? Everybody was tired of seeing her, Taylor Swift. They constantly just show her over and over and over again. But when you go here, all right. So I looked this up. It's called hypnosis by repetition. Okay. So it says hypnosis often used in hypnotherapy. So like it. All right. Hypnosis often used in hypnotherapy involves repetition or of suggestions to induce a trance-like state where the mind is more receptive to change. Okay, involves repetition of suggestions to induce a trance-like state where the mind is more receptive to change. This repetition helps create new mental pathways and patterns, making the suggested change more likely to be adopted. Okay, so they use repetition as a weapon of hypnosis, man. And people get into this hypnosis where they're more receptive to change. Okay, they had to keep pushing alphabet, all right, repetitively, putting in all the shows, putting in everything. And now it's something people are more receptive to the change. That's why, alphabet people are so, comfortable in society, because through repetition, this man has used hypnosis to get people comfortable with that, man. Okay, you got the culture where our people destroy themselves. They're so comfortable in it, so receptive to it because of the repetition. Hearing it over and over again. The movies, TV, the music, all right, the community itself, reacting, playing out the movies and the music. So your mind, you're just 360 surrounded, okay, by degeneracy till you become receptive to it, man. Okay, it said this repetition helps create new mental pathways and patterns, making the suggested changes more likely to be adopted, man. And there's another thing, you people in IUIC, and they keep telling you that the MOTB is not the C-HIP. You're being hypnotized, man. You're being hypnotized, all right, to accept and adopt when the real MOTB is made mandatory. Okay, anybody that's not teaching truth and you keep constantly hearing a lie, your mind is becoming more adapted to accept the change that Esau finna come with, man. All right, because you best believe Nate and them guys is high level agents, man. Okay, and they've been conditioned, they've been trained up, okay, on how to use these certain methods, okay, to keep people, all right, in a certain state. You know, they know hypnosis, because you wonder, like, why these, which we know it's all through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim al-Shai, and the deceiver and the deceived are his, man. Okay, but on the left hand side, because if you're not truly in Yahweh Shai, you're dealing with the left hand. All right. If you're not in Yahweh Shai, everything else is the left hand, and they have this left hand, you know, magic. It levels to it. All right. But you best believe that their minions that they have out here with all this influence, they know these techniques on the left hand side to put people, to put the masses in the hypnosis, man. Okay. Like these people be real live zombies out here to foolishness, man. Okay. So let's go here. Is a precept, then we're gonna go back to then we'll go back. It's the book of Psalm chapter 64 and 5. It says they encourage themselves in the evil matter, they commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Okay. And this is what these devils do, because you won't put it together that the elites, the trillionaires, the banking families are behind all this, man. You'll blame CNN, you'll blame Fox, or you'll blame Democrats and Republicans. You see, they put those people on the forefront for you to blame. Okay, but the one is the people that's truly pulling the strings. So they want you to blame the puppets and not the puppet master, which are the elites. So they like, who shall see us? We're gonna give them someone to blame. Okay, we're gonna create these false realities for them to pick a side. Okay, you see. These devils have people all over the place, man. Completely confused, man. Okay? That's why I even said that a brother can post that in 2nd Ezra 16, verses 21 and 22. Okay? It says, verse 6, it says, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep, man. All right? And they go diligent. They're diligent in their wickedness, man. So where they study the mind, they study how colors affect people, the way that you talk, you know, like Martin Luther King, the way that he talked, you know, you can see the same talking patterns in Tupac. Okay, how to, you know, draw out the masses, how to draw out emotions and feelings when you talk. Like they study these things, man. Okay, and they train these people up to put on these screens. Okay. To put people in hypnosis and have them confused and have them sad and happy and emotionally, all right, attached to these false narratives, man. Okay, he does a diligent search in these things, man. He studies the neurons. How you think that he's able to have neurotechnology, man? Because he studied these things, man. He spent billions of dollars every year in research, time, labor, going into these things, man, for wickedness' sake. Okay. And that's why the scriptures say, hey, we're not ignorant to Satan's devices, man. Okay? And the masses are just, you know, wide open for the taking, man. Okay? So let's go back to the video. So this is, and it's going to show you, you know, how to use repetition. Now Trump is a hero. The same people that, you know, the same guy that was a villain, and it just had to get him out of there to the point that they voted for Biden. No one knew who Biden was. Okay, but hey, if the thing was, we got to get Trump out of there. Okay, but now you got people willing to die for Trump, man. Okay? Hey, all through witchcraft, man. All right? Let's play this.
Even though he goes to work 7 days a week and puts food on the table for his family because he thinks differently, they tell you. Because they want you to think and stereotype your next door neighbor or anybody out there who thinks differently than you do, and then say that they're a threat to democracy. They're molding the minds of everyone. Here's those clips again from the Sinclair Broadcasting Group for old time's sake.
Sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Right, and those are easy things to look at to say that the news is a scripted reality, that all these people are reading off of the same exact script. So no matter where you are and getting fed your news, then you're going to repeat the same exact talking points. And now we're at a point where people use the threat to democracy sentence. You hear it all of the time, and nobody realizes that both parties are a threat to democracy, because democracy doesn't really exist anymore in America. Not that it ever actually did, and it was supposed to be a republic from the first place. But the news is here to control our thoughts, and it's so simple for people to see if they just see the patterns. When you see repetition, when it's shown to you like that, it starts breaking your mind free. Let's take another example. Donald Trump, the entire charade of the assassination attempt. What was the purpose of it? Well, there's multiple purposes, right? How many more people went and voted? How many more people consented to be governed? How many people don't even know what that is? You have to consent to be governed by these people. You have to give them consent, and your consent is your vote to allow them to rule over you, to go into their system, their tax system, their control system, to tell you have to have this ID versus that ID. You have to have this to travel now. You got to get on a plane. You got to have our ID. Got to get everything online digitally. The consent to be governed. And what was the other thing that was important in all of that? Well, yoking up Donald Trump with Christianity. Nobody thought back in 2016 of any comparison of Donald Trump being this Christian savior, not until the assassination attempt. Now, why is that? Why was it his first term? Nobody was saying, well, Donald Trump is an amazing Christian. Donald Trump is a follower of Christ. How come it wasn't until right before the last fake election? Because that's what they told you. That was the script that they implanted in your mind because of things like what I'm about to show you. After the assassination attempt, every single member of the conservative media, every famous alt-right head, every famous person who is considered a conservative, we're all talking off the same script. Divine intervention, and program people into what we see now. This obsession with Donald Trump, this absolute psychosis that Trump was anointed by God himself, not even realizing how blasphemous this is to go out there and declare that a human being was chosen by God to save America. But that's because of this repetition you're about to see here. This is where we transformed from Donald Trump just being a conservative who was going to go against the Democratic Party to Donald Trump being looked at as the golden calf, as being an idol. Here are the clips from the alt-right media. And keep in mind, the repetition. This is how they got those seeds planted in people's minds that Donald Trump is some type of Christian prophet who is here and chosen by God to save America.
Came to Pennsylvania holding a rifle, but an American lion got back up on his feet and he roared.
You don't get slight grazes to the ear. I mean, that is divine intervention that he was not, mortally wounded.
Fate stepped in, God, the hand of God, call it whatever you like.
Evil came for the man we admire and love. I thank God that his hand was on President Trump.
The fact that this is about milliseconds and millimeters that changes this from being an attempt and an assassination should really talk about the divine intervention that has occurred here.
Trump is truly blessed by the hand of God, being able to evade
being assassinated.
And we thank him for protecting our next president, Donald J. Trump.
It was a clear assassination attempt. I think there was maybe some divine intervention.
If you didn't believe in miracles before Saturday, you better be believing right now.
It was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening.
So that was truly divine intervention as far as I'm concerned.
It's having everybody on the internet saying this is divine intervention. Every frame of the attempted assassination is nothing short of proof that it was divine intervention.
We מסתכל on President Trump. God must have been watching down on the president.
I personally believe that God intervened today, not just on behalf of President Trump, but on behalf of our country.
I'll say that, in my opinion, probably the most famous NFL catch in history is called the Immaculate Reception. I call this the Immaculate Protection. I believe that there was divine intervention to make sure nothing happened to this man. It's extraordinary.
But let's just be real. Donald Trump is anointed by God. Whether you believe in God or not, he had a divine intervention that saved his life. And you can call me crazy, but I think that's the only thing that truly saved Donald Trump. And now he's going to have more support than he's ever had.
Willie, you're right. He's been posting on his Truth Social account. Here's his latest post. It came in just moments ago. Thank you to everyone for your thoughts and prayers yesterday. It was God alone, he said, who prevented the unthinkable from happening. We will fear not, but instead remain resilient in our faith and defiant in the face of wickedness.
Well, when God shows up that clearly, it's hard for even the biggest detractors to deny it. They go, what did I just watch? You just watched God turn Donald Trump's head, literally. We all just watched it. I mean, think about God making his presence known. I mean, on the biggest possible story you ever could. Now you've got people going, okay, I believe it. I believe it.
And that right there was the clip that started breeding the psychosis of.
All right. And they've made this man a demigod. All right. And he's been anointed. All right, by the guys of this world, all right, the elite, the bankers, small hats, all right, because he's a do-boy for the Zionists, all right, both his daughters are married to Zionists, all right, to small hats, okay, because he's juiced in, all right, so now they're pushing this narrative, and what they've done, they made this man a demigod, all right, it says a demigod, all right, it says a being with partial or lesser divine status, such as a minor deity, the offspring of a god and a mortal, or a mortal raised to divine rank. All right. And they raised Donald Trump to divine rank. Okay. And the masses are going to follow this man into this NWO. Okay. He's there to herd the masses, man. All right. And like I say, he is the Most High. All right. Did choose this devil. All right. For a purpose on the left hand side. You know, because he has a spirit, you know, that's likable. You see, so it's let's go from here. All right, and this is why we say we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places, man. And the masses don't even know what's being done to them on a day-to-day basis. They don't understand that they're daily being enchanted. You know, that they're under attack in every way from the way that they eat. Okay, I say what they listening to. You know, the religion, you know, the news, everything is an attack, all right, to dumb them down, you know, to believe a false narrative, man. Okay? Now you go here, 2 Corinthians 4:3 said, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not. Now, how are they blinded? Through these enchantments. Okay? You gotta understand, people are under heavy hypnosis, and the Lord allowed them to be under this enchantment, man. Okay, if our people that don't get it, the Lord has given them over. That's why scriptures speak about us being delivered from the power of darkness, man. Okay, only Yahweh Shai can free us from the power of darkness, man. Okay, and if you're not one of His, all right, you're going to be subjugated to be blinded by the God of this world. Okay, which is the elites of Esau, Edom. Okay, to where they believe everything but the truth. Okay, so at least the light of the glorious gospel of Mashiach, who is the image of the Most High, should shine unto them. Okay, should shine unto them, and that's what the gospel has did, is shine through darkness. All right, For the elect, the gospel shines through the darkness, man. Okay, and brings us out, you know. And then it's a day to stay out, not to get back entangled in the darkness, man. Okay, but this man is the father of lies. All right, that's why you go here to the 2 Thessalonians. All right, just to prove that point again. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. All right, and I started 8. I started 7. Read on. It said, "For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, you know, which at the time of this epistle, Apostle Paul, all right, who was in power, all right, Edom, Rome, all right, the Edomites were ruling in Rome, okay, so he's the mystery of iniquity, okay, the nation that the Lord hates, all right, only he who now let it will let until he be taken out of the way, okay, so this devil has been given free reign to rule the earth in deception, man, for a period of time, all right, and it's meant to deceive who is meant to deceive, but the elect, all right, it just says, you know, Esau has his scripted reality. Well, the Lord has a script, okay, and the elect, all right, will be loose, you know, from the power of darkness, man, to where it wouldn't have an effect on us, man, okay, to where we wouldn't be entangled in these things, all right, and you just and keep on that straight and narrow to stay away, you know, and it says, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, all right, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So now this devil is revealed, okay, but it's still only revealed to a few. You know, there's only a remnant that really see this devil for what it is. Even Jake, they got a problem with the system, and Esau, all right, but if they don't if they don't see Esau from the lens of this truth, from the lenses of Yahushua, then they don't get it. You know, it's only so far you can go with someone that the spirit is not dealing with. Okay, but this devil is revealed and he's being consumed, and that's why he's getting more attacky. Okay, and he's fast tracking, trying to set up this NWO because these devils have hit the ground running with Trump, man. You know, and he got so much going on under this devil, man. Okay, it says even him who's coming is after the working of Satan with all power, signs, and lying wonders. Okay, lying wonders, man. You see, with this man's technology, and you know, he's been able to study the mind, and like I say, the neurology, and you know, he's been able to go into these things, man, and he's become a lying wonder, man. You know, this man is really tapped in into the left hand side with these enchantments, man, these mass enchantments. You see, no other nation ever had the power to do mass enchantments like this, man. Okay. Verse 10, it says, with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved. Now, you know, this speaking of Israelites, man. All our people that's caught up in this devil's darkness, okay, they're still subscribed to this devil and his doctrines and what he pushes the truth and his pseudoscience. Okay, it says, and for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. So the Most High, all right, has given 2/3 of our people over to these strong delusions that they should believe a lie, man. You know, and that's why Esau has our people, you know, completely engulfed in madness, man. You know, because they've been given over to this devil. All right, so they that said that they all might be damned, condemned, which is punished, who believe not the truth but have pleasure in unrighteousness, man. All right, and it's all through the lies, okay, and the witchcraft of Esau Edom, okay, on the left hand side. All right, so yep, as the brother put, let's get this, the brother Bible Academy Hebrew Studies on Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, man. Spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay, so these devils, you know, these elites, they're at these top spots in the earth, and they, all right, are highly, you know, in tune, all right, with the left hand side. Okay, and they push these enchantments downhill to the masses, man. Okay, This thing is way beyond. All right. You know, the everyday Edomite. Okay, and he's going to captivity. He's wicked as well. Okay, but what we're witnessing happening in the earth, the way that the earth is, man, goes way beyond the Edomite down the street, man. All right, these Edomites in these high, all right, positions. Okay, that are tapped in on the left hand side. That's affecting the whole atmosphere of the earth, man. Okay. This nigga do. Yeah, we can end it here. All right, it's the brother Yashala 144. Proverbs 22 and 3 says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil. And how are we able to see? Because we walk in the light. We walk in Yahushua. You know, we see what it is. We see the play. You know, there's one thing about it. The scriptures put us on game, you know, to where we foresee of the evil. We know where this place is headed, man. And the Lord has us drawing back and separating more and more. Okay? It says, and hiding himself, and we hide ourselves in Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah, man, through faith, trusting in the deliverance, man, trusting in the victory over this whole system, man. You know, and we hide ourselves in it. But the simple pass on and are punished. The simple pass on and are punished. Okay? So a lot of people, you know, all right, are simple when it comes to the enemy Esau Edom. Okay? And the masses are going to pass right on. Okay? Believing in this system, trusting in this system, believing every word. Okay? Confused. Don't know what they believe. All right? And they're going to walk straight into punishment, man. You know? But the Wali Al-Bashim Al-Shah for the truth, man, for this light. You know? So Lord will, you brothers and you sisters edified. Till next time I say Shalom. Kwam Yashala. Abba soon. Shalom.